Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the San Diego Bass Fishing Podcast, where we talk about bass fishing in the great county of San Diego and its history and where we stand today and all the other good stuff. Today, I got to look at my notes here. Today, we are going to, let's see here. How do I put this? I met this person in 2019, and he received an award at the juniors, the end of the year awards banquet for the SoCal Juniors. Andy stood up and gave this person an award for never missing a juniors tournament, an opportunity to volunteer to take kids fishing at a juniors tournament. His stature and demeanor, they rise above all the rest of the fishermen out there. I put his fishing second to that. Like, he's a giant among us, and he's not, and you would never know it. You know, I can't say enough good things about this guy. His fishing skills speak for themselves. He's probably, I think, I'm probably wrong here, but he is probably has won the most local tournaments, Diamond Valley included, as anybody. Or he's won the most. And let's go ahead and bring in Mr. Randy Lewis. Today we have the king of the jigs, the king of the casting jigs, Mr. Randy Lewis. I can't tell you how happy I am to have you. I'm probably talking too loud. I can't tell you how happy I am to have you on board here to interview you.
I'm glad to be here.
So let's just go ahead and get started. And so where did it all start for you?
Started fishing, as a young kid, obviously in the Sierras, doing the trout thing, parents and all that. But I moved to Lakeside in high school, my junior or sophomore year. And, here we have San Vicente, El Cap, Hodges. We had them all, and it was in their heyday. So we spent a lot of time fishing, sneaking around and getting our parents to drop us off. Whatever we could do, we would get up there. And, there was a group of us, Rusty Selesky, Jeff Rowe, who's in Arizona now, John Sparks, the late John Sparks. Maybe some of the old timers know him. Amazing fisherman, dedicated to the outdoors. And, of course, Scott McIntosh, still around. I can't tell you how talented that guy is and what I've learned from him. But, that was our high school group. And we spent a lot of times beating the bank and throwing worms. And then when we did get in the boat, which our dads would help us out or whatever we could do. And we were double anchor crawdad guys and really, really good at it. And that was our thing. We had a great time for years and years throwing those crawdads. And I think that's where the jig thing came into play, is because it mimics it so well, and the confidence is so high that you just know that it will pay off at one point, sometimes better than others, but you have the faith, you have the confidence, you have the that experience that keeps that bait in your hand. So that's kind of what draws me to it.
Yeah. Can you now you make your own jigs, don't you?
I do.
Is there, I've seen them. I've got a couple of them on my wall, and from a distance, they don't look like anything special, honestly. But then once you get close to them, all of a sudden you start realizing that every part of that jig has meaning to it. There's certain things and the reasons why you use the parts that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you say at a distance they don't look like anything. Up close, they don't really look like anything either. I jig to catch a fish, not to catch a fisherman, and there's a big difference. Jig guys know that. I got this joke. I always say I've never seen a crawdad at a barber shop. They don't get prettied up. They don't have shiny glitter. They don't have eyeballs. They don't have any of that. So you know, I'm kind of stubborn, but it's worked well for me. And I've gone full circle with the glitter and the shiny and the scents and you name it. I've been there and I've done it. I'm back to where I started basically. And, I got to say Larry Farrell had a big part in the original design. We just kind of took the parts that, a better hook, maybe a different weed guard, a few little things, but for the most part, Larry was the man that got this whole ball rolling. If, some of the old school guys definitely know who he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I'll be honest with you. I've never heard of him. I try to stay up on my old school guys, but I don't know Larry Farrell.
He was the guy. I don't know. He passed away. I got to say over 10 years ago now, but he lived in El Cajon, and if he needed a jig like mine, a brown, black, green pumpkin, or somewhere in that range, or even crazy jigs, a clown jig he would make, which looked like a rainbow, and the small man destroyed it at Havasu. But he was the guy you went to if you needed 100 jigs. You called Larry, and he made 100 jigs and buck a piece. And it was great.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. But I mean, I would go hang out at his house, and I'd look at it. He kept a log on who bought it, and that was kind of interesting to me. And you'd see guys that would buy 100 of this, 100 of that, and then 2 weeks later they're doing it again.
That's
I won't drop names. Do I need to? But it opened my eyes to, hey, these guys are catching them, and I can too. But I was already hooked on them anyway. So then when I passed away, I bought a lot of his molds, or were given a lot of his molds, and I still have some today. And I use them, and I make some of my own, and I've kind of modified some of my own. But yeah, he was a huge part. A lot of guys out there know who Larry was, or had bought stuff from Larry, and he was a big part of this jig thing early on for sure.
So your daughter just graduated from Notre Dame.
That's right.
Yeah.
Notre Dame Law.
That's awesome. That is such an achievement.
I'm so proud of that girl. I mean, proud parent. You know how that goes. But boy, this one's over the top. She's really done well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's so great. And so a little bit more about your family. You're kind of related to John Muir, as in John Muir, the Trail, the Sierras.
Founder of the Sierra Club, yeah, the whole bit. He's actually my wife's great grandfather.
Yeah.
That's
crazy. That's wow. That's really something.
Buried in the family cemetery in the backyard up in Martinez, Bay Area, and I married into a ton of history, and and I love the mountains anyway, so it's a win-win for me, and I try to do as much as I can in the mountains. Sierra Club's gone a little south for my liking, but we do what we can, and with our fishing, we all do.
Yeah.
As far as that goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you go trout fishing?
I'll be in the Sierras in about 4 weeks. Yeah, we have the Muir Hanna cabin up near Mammoth. That's in the family trust. So we have a 130-year-old cabin on a priceless piece of land right on a lake, a little place called Lundy Lake, and we spend time.
Yeah.
It's a good getaway. I love it up there.
Yeah, I love trout fishing. I miss it. I haven't trout fished in several years, but man, it was one of those things that I started doing when I was a kid,
Well, this is your official invite to the cabin. I'll be there.
All right. Nice. Yeah, I go up there with Bob.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. He's hooked too now.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. Yeah. How could you not be? To be like outdoors in the Sierras. I've done a couple of backpacking trips in the Sierras. I did a horseback trip above Bishop and North Lake. We went over the top and
Rock
Creek and all that. And then I also fished like Crowley too. I always liked fly fishing Crowley. That was fun.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we for years we targeted a different species of trout up there, and we found one that took us a while. It took us 3 years to find this certain species. And I don't want to.
Yeah, we don't have to go there.
out of the bag, but we did find it, and it was amazing. That's all I can say. It took 3 days
Yeah.
on foot, but yeah, we found them. It was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
So,
Very nice. Very nice. So, let's see here. So, how long was your, you had a stretch of wins there, and like, what was it, 2021? How many wins did you guys have? Or you had?
I think it was seven in a row.
Seven, 7 in a row?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty amazing run. I mean, we were on the fish, we were putting the time in, we were doing everything we could do, but on top of it, we didn't make any mistakes. If the fish went left, we went left. We never. It always worked,
Yeah.
and you know, a lot of guys are close to doing that. There's so many good anglers in our area that can do that at any given point. We just, like I said, we did the work, we had the skill set, but damn, we got lucky in a lot of cases too, because we just guessed right every single time for that time span. It was really fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Times.
I always, you were telling me that story of the one day that you were following the guy into a cove, and the guy went to the right, and then you went to the left, and as soon as he went to the right, you just leaned over to your partner and said, "Oh, we just won."
We, it was one of those anglers tournaments, and it was, the spot, and it was game on, no question.
Yeah.
Uh, I got to give a shout out to the Strelics. They gave us the room that a lot of people would not have, because they knew all about this spot as well. But it was, yeah, I hate to go into any tournament without making a cast knowing that we won, but I'm telling you, that was if there ever was one, that was it. And we ended up winning with only 4 fish, but we had, good example. We had one jump off in front of a couple of guys, and they said that was an 8-pounder. We're going, yeah, we know, but we figured
Yeah.
we'd catch 5. We didn't even catch 5, but it worked. But yeah, that was a crazy day.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like it. Well, where else do we have? So you got an award from Andy, like in 2019, for the most, or you never missed a volunteer based, you never missed a chance to volunteer for a juniors tournament. You remember that?
With my background, and coming up through the lakes, walking the banks, seeing these boats, and just knowing that someday we're going to have those, and now I have a chance to offer that, and it's fun. It's not a chore. It's not a, oh man, I have to do this today. They really look forward to it. And some of these kids are just, some of us, we get numb. We catch a 5-pounder. It's like, okay, cool. These kids catch a 5-pounder, it changes their life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to be a part of that is really cool. None of them caught a 5-pounder on my boat yet, but I think we've hooked a few.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun. And we watched your daughter and Andrew in another boat at Otay a few weeks back, and they put on a major league clinic on this spot. We came around the corner, and these kids I had watched it for a bit, and we couldn't, we're outside looking in. We couldn't get the fish to bite, and I said, "You guys want to move on?" He says, "Yeah." And I had to pull him aside. I said, "Proud of you guys. That you just swallowed the toughest pill to swallow in bass fishing right there, and you did fine.
Yeah.
So that you get both sides of it, and that was, even an experienced guy like me, that was hard to watch, because that was a beat down there putting on, and you just want to be a part of it, and you're not. So
Right. I know.
yeah,
It's absolutely, working on sport boats and whatever for most of my life. The worst thing was sitting there on your boat and watching another boat just absolutely kill it.
right.
Like they're just right there, and your passengers are just kind of looking up at you like, what are you gonna do, man? The fish are right there, and they're just and we're just out of spot. We're just out of step. Just that little bit.
I do? What can I do? You know, and you know you're doing the right things, but it's just not your day.
Yeah. Yeah. And it comes back around too. There's going to be days that you go enough times, you're going to sit in every seat of the house, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah. So
So,
experience, you know, it's part of fishing. If you can't stomach, I want to either learn to or pick up a new sport because it's coming your way, whether you like it or not.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It's
yeah. You know,
kind of,
I started this thing. I was racing mountain bikes for quite a while. Yeah, after fishing as a kid, I was always still fishing. I went on a mountain bike racing tear for about 20 years and traveling a lot, doing that. And then little Scott McIntosh, high school buddy, calls me up, "Hey man, I need a partner for this tournament." And this, I've never done this before. Well, I don't know how to do that. He's all, just go fishing. All right, I'll give it a go. And I get out there, we launch, and it's a bigger one, 40 plus, maybe 50 boats, and all this glitter, and you know how intimidating that can be to someone new, and you're just going, I don't belong here. And we got second place that day,
yeah.
and, won almost 2 grand or something. And was like, this is kind of cool. That was fun, and then 5 weekends in a row after that, or five total, five second places. We here, but like 5 seconds, and I'm like, wow, this is a lot of fun. Next thing you know, the mountain bike got parked because I was kind of getting old and tired anyway. But it kind of definitely ended that, and here we go. And I got to say, Scott is a huge part. A lot of you guys know Scott, but
Yeah.
what a talented fisherman he is that flies under the radar more than anybody you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so that's how it all kind of came to be, and I'm enjoying it. I enjoy the competition. That met a lot of great people, and I will continue to, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. So I found out something about you not too long ago, and that's that you free dive for lobsters at
Yeah,
night.
yeah,
See, I used to free dive and whatever. I'd jump over the side of the boat and I'd go spear halibut and this and that in the surf. But man, I'm drawing the line at nighttime diving, and that's where I draw the line.
I mean, it's a lot
But
of fun.
you have no problem.
No, our game was we would try to launch the boat at like 2 to 2:30 in the morning, and then try to be in the water by 2:30 or 3, swim till 5 a.m., then go to work and be done. And typically we could get our limits, off Point Loma somewhere,
Yeah.
and some good ones every once in a while. And we had a pretty good routine going there, but I didn't dive at all last year, but my partners did, and they did well. So we've had years where we've gotten 40, 50 limits.
Oh wow.
I mean,
Nice.
it's been that good. So you time on the water, same type of deal. You learn it and
Yeah.
learn the
Yeah.
tide, learn the tides and surges and when to be where, and
Hmm.
a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That current plays such a role in that whole lobster deal.
Oh yeah, yes it
You got to
does.
have the right tides,
I mean
bigger tides.
that's my whole philosophy on this bass fishing thing. It's when, where, and why. That's it. If you can answer those three questions, you're gonna put yourself in a pretty good position to catch fish. And I've always felt that those 1 to 3 pounders are kind of a school sized fish. They're going to cruise around and kind of eat what comes to them, and they'll hunt a little bit, but for the most part, they're just going to eat. Versus once they get 4, 5, and beyond, they're in a certain spot for a certain reason at a certain time, and they become hunters. And so you got to put yourself in a position where you can fake that hunter out, and it starts to work. You start to figure it out, and it starts to work. Not all the time, but more times than not. And so, where, when, and why are the kind of the rule I live by.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can be stubborn sometimes, and it just doesn't work at all. But it's a lot, and when it does, it can be magic. So I'll continue that. that angle for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's worked up to this point.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about forward-facing sonar?
I feel I'm gonna keep up. That's for sure. Is it cheating? Absolutely not. I'm not the guy that's ever going to call it cheating. Not at all. Um, these kids out there these days that are doing it, oh man, are they good?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, they put in the time. They're amazing at what they're doing. Is it for me? No, it's not. Will I have to learn it? Probably. I doubt I'll ever be at the level. Well, I don't doubt. I know I'll never be at the level that they're at. But I think I need to, get the basics so that I can understand it and use it a
Do
little
you,
bit.
do
Um,
you think that this year is kind of that like the whole year is kind of a little different? You see a lot more offshore fish this year for some reason, like the bank beater guys. Like I feel like the bank beater guys should be posting 17, 18 pound limits or whatever and still in the top three, but I'm not seeing that, like at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it seems like it's the live scopers that are kind of dominating at this point. Does it feel like there's more offshore fish for some reason?
yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know. Is
that that live scope is untapped an entire new population of fish that maybe it's out there all year. Maybe it just comes and goes, and then the shore guys get a crack at them here and there.
right.
But
Okay.
they're clean fish, they're healthy, and I think they live out there a lot. And I think these guys have tapped into them and they figured it out. So I don't. I've seen it change at an elite level. I've seen it change at a regional level. I've seen it change at a local level drastically. The
Yeah.
results, the I hate to say it, but the younger kids are winning big events and small events, everything in between, because they've embraced this forward facing and they've become good at it. I look at it like we've reached the steroid era of bass fishing. So I believe everything will be judged pre and post
Hmm.
for
Yeah.
whether they like it or not. People are going to do that, and that's the way it's going to be. I'm going to stay new on it. I got a lot of good friends that are doing good with it, and I'm proud of them. But it's just not for me. But once again, I'll probably have to learn it just to do it. Just to say I did and see
Yeah.
maybe have some success with it.
So are you having, even though you don't fish offshore per se too much, you use it to find rocks and whatever and make yourself more efficient along the shore, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
Or
yeah.
channels.
Such powerful local knowledge of these lakes, but you think you know it all and you're making the cast. It's that's where it's at, and then it's not. And you swing the sonar around off 10, 15 degrees, whatever the case, and it does help you dial it in pretty quick.
Yeah.
And if they're there, they bite quick, and if they don't want to bite, it's time to go. Because there are spots you wait them out, but man, you can hit 20 or 30 spots in a day. Your chances are a lot better than waiting on one in most cases.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll see where this forward facing thing goes. I know it's a real toxic subject right now, and one thing I can say, this whole keep up or get out attitude that some of these guys have taken, keep
Hmm.
my response would be keep up without it before you start talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Besides that comment, I don't think it's a great comment, but I had to respond to it.
Yeah.
I've heard it a
Yeah.
lot. This sucks.
Yeah. It's a hot button topic.
Sure.
That's why I brought it up.
No, I did. I there's a few of these young guys in town that I would love to see on the national stage because they'd put a dent in it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you.
Jake, you listening?
He was mentioned in the previous podcast. He
Why?
was with
The guy,
with Dennis.
Yeah, and he does this, puts in his time. You know, we've all watched
Yeah.
him, and we're all proud of him. So yeah, that's a good shout out to Jake, buddy. You're making us all proud right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. He's taking all our money is what he's doing.
Yeah, I got back. You know, I think he got more this year.
Yeah, that's all right. It just makes it sweeter when I do beat him. If that ever happens again, if I get lucky again.
I go into every tournament thinking I can get 25 or better. So when that feeling goes away, maybe I'll rethink it. But you know what it has done is these guys are out here in the middle of the lake, and they're good guys out in the middle of the lake that know how to jig fish and worm fish and whatever.
Hmm.
Not on the spots anymore, so that opens up a lot of stuff as well.
Yeah,
I've noticed
yeah.
that. I really have. So that's a bonus from that, whether it's good or
Mm.
bad, but it has opened up some things that typically would be more community hole type stuff that aren't any.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I have to agree with you there. How do you feel about the state of the lakes right now, as far as like you think they're in good shape? I mean, obviously we have a little bit of low water, but we also have high water. And how do you feel about those the local lakes?
I mean, El Cap is fishing really well. I'd like to see it stable, one high, high or low. I hate to see it going up and down. But the quality of the fish and the numbers of the fish seem to be really good at El Cap right now. That they're healthy. Everything's firing on all cylinders. Um, Samasini, I'm not a fan. I mean, growing up in the '80s, knowing what they could be, when there was a dozen double digits a week coming out of there easily, if not double that. And those days are over. Now it's a bunch of small fish that are themselves out of house and home. Um, I'm not a biologist. I don't know how to fix that. Back in the day, we did keep a lot of fish. Everybody kept fish. Maybe
Mm,
something to do with it, but I don't know for sure. But and Hodges, what can you say? They've ruined that. Sutherland, they're trying to ruin it. Okai, I don't spend a lot of time, but I know it's healthy. You know,
yeah, there's a lot of
guys,
fish in there.
some guys want it to go down. Some guys like it where it's at. I don't know enough about it to really comment, but the management side of it, horrendous. We
Yeah,
had world class fisheries that were discussed. People wanted to come from all over the United States, even the world, to fish our lakes.
they're
And now,
flying in for Japan.
yeah, and now they get here and go, "What do you mean you can't fish on Thursday and you can't? You got to leave when it gets dark." They have all these questions that are just not even an issue where they've come from, and so I hope we get some people in the local government that can realize that and bring it back. And they try to get vendors out there and they fee them to death. These guys can't even make a buck to do a service. They got to realize that these guys that are going to rent a boat or have a snack bar are doing a service for their community, not just trying to make a buck, but they're making it better. And
Yeah.
they're just out for the tax dollar or whatever the case. So it's kind of sad. And I'll say it right now. I invite any council member to come on my boat with me at any time. We'll go out on the lake. We'll get sprayed in the face. We'll talk to people. We'll see the wildlife, maybe even catch a fish. But this is an open invitation. Any council member right now, we'll go out there and you'll see what's going on out there in person and talk to people in person and understand what this is all about. It's a lot more than taxes and budgets. It's about Mother Nature and the wildlife and getting out and having access to it, which is so limited as it is.
Yep. Yep. We're working on it. We trying to keep them open at this point. Um, it's a struggle. That whole God, the whole political, it, it's just a swamp. The the first the first couple of meetings that I went with Tom and Dave and I couldn't believe just how mired down it was, and you have to the process that it takes to get back. Like we started when we started this whole thing with the city council and this and that. We we didn't even know about this whole closing of the lake thing. That was like off our radar. We didn't know about it. We were going for another reason. We started this whole thing for another reason, and then we found out about it. Like at the first meeting, they were like, "Oh yeah, well we're gonna cut the budget and we're gonna start closing the lakes." And man, just to keep them open, much less get the days back that we're trying to get back. That's a whole nother $600,000 or whatever. But now there's only, it's $60,000 we're looking for to keep the lakes open, and they can't find it, but they can spend all this other money on that, on everything else. But it's just a swamp. That whole political scene is just a mired down, just terrible.
Correct me if I'm, but is the lake staff at the lakes on these closed days?
Oh, they will be, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
I'm right there. You know how can they justify someone not unlocking a gate, collecting some gate fees and launch fees and all that when they're there already? I quite understand.
You know what? One of the biggest expenses that they have is literally the toilets and keeping and sucking them out and keeping them clean.
Really?
Having the company come down, because it's not in house, so they have they charter a company to come down and clean the toilets and suck them out, and that's like one of the biggest expenses they have. So if they close the lake, they don't have that expense anymore. Yeah.
That's the toilets are the deal breaker, huh? That's a sad affairs in our government, our local government, if that's the case, which sounds like it is. That
yeah,
they're special at the bottom so much.
That's gonna keep, for one thing, it's gonna keep us from fishing. But then January is gonna come around and it's gonna be slow at East County Bait and Tackle. Like it's gonna be slow because Cap's not gonna be around. There's a line well, I'm sure 5 o'clock in the morning. There's a line at the registers of people buying shiners and plastic worms and thin Senkos going to the lake. 5 in the morning.
Those people lined up at the gas station before that.
That's right. Yeah.
Lined up, the coffee shop probably, or wherever they go, if they go, and they line up at the gate. So it's a whole chain of dollars that are being spent, and so you're going to have 15% of your year being closed now.
Yeah. So we're just trying to prove it to the city council. Well, the city council is just about done. They've almost approved the budget that's going to have the cuts in it, and now hopefully we can get the money from the county. The county's kind of stepping up. You saw the petition now.
Sure.
Joel Anderson has a petition, so we're kind of gaining steps in the right direction. Is all. It's what it is.
Has anybody ever thought about, I'm sure they have, but volunteers opening gates, doing, stuff like that up at the lakes to
yeah.
cost?
No, not that I know of. I'm sure there would be. I'm sure there would be plenty of volunteers, but it's not the way the public utilities department looks at it.
Right.
They're responsible for everything. They're going to get sued if somebody gets hurt. That's really what it comes down to.
Anybody that goes to the beach and pays, or any of these other outdoor venues that you just go, you go to Lake Murray and walk around. There's a lot of things, but here we are, the paying customers. Like we're getting the short end. It's odd. It's odd to me.
Yeah.
The ones that are paying are the ones that are you getting the cuts. Hopefully this budget will come through, but keep your fingers crossed. I've signed all the petitions and written the letters too, so we'll see.
Oh no, I looked at your Facebook for this, and it's just lined up, just like you're just sharing everything, sharing all the petitions and the letters and everything, and it helps. It helps.
I come from 1979 through, and I've seen the whole progression of this, and it's tough to watch. It's tough to see where we're at this point.
Yeah.
I
know we want to make it better, but it just feels like your hands are tied, you're handcuffed, and they don't want to make it better.
True. So, pressure. keep the pressure, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. And we've said this too, as Tom has said this, we're in it for the long haul. We're not we may not get it, this year, but we're gonna still be doing this again next year. So
I'll plug my father, my late father-in-law. He's been gone for about 20 years now, but back in the day, he was the public works director for the city of San Diego.
oh yeah.
Proud now.
Yeah. Yeah. Wish he was around.
The need for us, but he sure could have opened up some doors and had some meetings, that's for sure, and talked to the right people. Sometimes seems to help if you can get in the right door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so I want to get back to fishing a little bit here to change the tone of this.
All right.
What kind of rods and reels what pound test are you fishing with your jigs? Do you fish like 15 pound or 12 or 20 or what?
If I'm fishing, almost exclusively, I'm throwing 16-pound sniper, Sunline sniper.
And that's just straight off the reel, that you're not using any leaders or anything
I'm
or a braid.
I'm not a real fan of that. My eyes are pretty shot, so it's hard to tie those knots as it is. I try to minimize the tying. And then on the reel, I really like that Corrado K, the fast one, the 8.5-1.
Oh, okay.
It typically can make up for a lot of mistakes, and catching you off guard. And then on the rods, I'm a Phoenix. I'm throwing that heavy fast 7-11.
Oh, a big long one. Okay.
I'm all about reaching out and having a lot of
Yeah.
power at the very end of a cast and a lot of speed at the very end of a cast.
Yeah.
And line size, I'll go up to duck and I'll fish gin clear water at noon on a dead calm day, and I'll catch big ones in a foot of water. When they want to bite, they're gonna bite. There might be occasions where the line shy thing comes in, but for the most part, they're gonna eat it, and they will. It's crazy.
Yeah. So you use a lot of living rubber on your jigs instead of silicone, but I know you do use silicone also sometimes. Why do you like living rubber?
Well, I mean, if you throw a living rubber jig in the bottom of your sink full of water, you'll watch it just fluff right back up. Silicone lays flat. So every time you shake something, even shake the line, so that living rubber is got movement.
Mm-hmm.
Versus that silicone is real limp, it's real flat, it's got the colors. You can really make some incredible colors if you're into that with the silicone, but you're limited to the action.
Yeah.
Once in a great while, I'll accent some living rubber with some type of maybe a purple or an orange, but it's pretty minimal. And then on the black living rubber again, you can't go wrong. And then on the green pumpkin, that kind of colors, living rubber just doesn't make one that looks natural in the greens. You get it; it looks decent in the workbench. You put it in the water, it's like a chartreuse almost. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So also silicone tabs when it comes to the greens and the tans and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll play with the weights. I like a 3/8 to a half most of the time, and one of the things I hear from guys a lot is I can't feel the bite. I'm 30 feet deep and I'm a full cast out. I can't feel the bottom. I can't feel the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to upsize their jig so they can feel that crunch and know they're in the right spot. It says, man, you don't have to feel the bottom. All you have to feel is the bite. You're not sure you're on the bottom, drop the rod, get some slack in it. You're on the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be hit a 3/4 1 ounce jig. You're feeling everything down there. It's like it's easy, but it might not be. The fall rates might come off a rock too quick or whatever the case. So I'm all about feeling the bite, not necessarily the bottom. And I can feel the bottom most of the time anyway, but
Uh-huh.
more in tune to feel a tick or whatever the case. It's a big part of my game is that just knowing you're there, not getting that constant back from that clunking on the rocks.
Oh, you're gonna start hearing my bloodhounds. My daughter just got home. I got I got a couple of bloodhounds, and when she drives up, they start singing. So you might hear them. So, okay, well, Randy, it was great talking to you. Thanks for coming on. We've got it like 43 minutes here, and I think that was a great job.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me to do this. Something new for me, and if I can help these guys catch a few more the way I like to do it, hey, why not?
Yeah,
Hey, all about
yeah,
that. Secrets kind of guy. Throw it all out there.
yeah. Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up and end this. And thanks a lot. I'll talk
All
to you
right.
later. See you at the
Have,
lake.
see you.